is Angelina DaCosta, and this is my presentation on the Ethics Board roleplay. Now, just to go over the case that I'll be reviewing, it is the one on withdrawing ventilators from COVID patients. And the main point of focus here is the shortage of ventilators during the pandemic, the implementation of a triage system for ventilator allocation, and this was performed by the triage officer/committee and not the care team, and the reallocation to patients with a better chance of survival. And ethical questions that are raised here are: should a ventilator be withdrawn from one patient to save another? Who decides which patient gets the ventilator? Does reallocation violate patient autonomy? And are we valuing all lives equally? Now, to go over the recommendation, my argument would be to adopt a utilitarian approach to ventilator allocation. And I like to justify it by saying that this approach balances a scarce resource, such as a ventilator, effectively during a crisis such as a pandemic. And this approach is more ethical than rationing based on wealth or social status. And I will admit this approach is imperfect, but I find it necessary to sustain healthcare capacity. This method can also be enhanced with transparency and equity safeguards. And by that, I mean it is really necessary to be transparent with patients and set their expectations right in a scenario such as a pandemic. And lastly, this decision should also factor in input from the healthcare team rather than just a triage committee who are not directly working with the patients and know their individual case. Next, I'd like to go into the bioethical principles that are at play here. The ones that are relevant are utility, autonomy, justice, non-maleficence, and beneficence. So to go over utility, it gives priority to saving the greatest number of lives, and this approach supports removing ventilators from patients that are unlikely to recover. And this supports my argument. To go over autonomy, patients may still desire treatment despite a poor prognosis, and withdrawing care can override personal wishes. The solution to this would be to engage in transparency with patients. And like I said, I think it's very important to manage expectations well with patients and to really educate them on what could be the possible outcome in the future. And to go into the next bioethical principle, it is justice, and it raises concern for fair distribution of care. And patients with a lower recovery rate may not be prioritized. And the solution to this is all necessary action to save the patient should be implemented before reallocating resources. And the care team should be integrated into the decision-making process and not just the triage committee. Now, to go over non-maleficence, removing a ventilator may cause direct harm, but I would counteract that with saying that mortality rates will be higher in general if no reallocation protocol is in place. And beneficence involves individual patient well-being may be sacrificed for the greater good, and the end result is still a net positive. So I still support the utilitarian approach. And this is the reference that I've used, and thank you for listening to my presentation.